No issue. I'm coming. Working on some technical things on my side. We'll give it about another minute. I need to close the door in here. So glad you all could make it. So again, thank y'all for coming to our second Broadband Leaders Network meeting. If you haven't noticed, we've asked everyone to kind of put their name and where they're from in the chat so we can get an idea of who's attending today. But looks like we've got people from all four corners of the state yet again. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It means so much to me in the office that you're willing to volunteer and help us out with this ginormous project that we are working on. Unfortunately for y'all, maybe, you only get me from the broadband office today. I think Lane and maybe Kimberly are in the audience, but I'll be doing all the chatting, the presenting today. Yeah, Lane's there in the chat, so if you do have questions, hopefully he can chime in if I'm not available to help you. But what we want to talk about today's meeting is, how to kickstart your broadband committee. So we spent a lot of time, traveling to all the 75 counties in the state, and we've met with everyone, and we have about 35 broadband committees created so far. So thank you guys. We're hoping to get to halfway point, hopefully by the end of July. I know there's a few counties that are still working in the background, and maybe I just don't know that they have a county yet. So if you have a committee in your county and you haven't told me about it, I'd really appreciate it if you would, so I can get you on our distribution list and you don't miss any of our announcements. For today's meeting, what we're going to do is give you some updates from our office. We've got a few new things going on since the last time we chatted. We're going to have some walkthrough of the Kickstart Your Broadband Committee. That's our theme for today. So if you don't have the broadband toolkit handy, we'll get that for you, but we're going to walk through the broadband toolkit document that we handed out when we were in your town. That kind of gives you how to recruit your committee and what your first task should be when you start meeting. Sandy Martin from Carroll County's Broadband Committee has graciously accepted my offer to give a presentation as to what's going on in Carroll County. We met with them like very early in the roadshow, so they hit the ground running like in March. So she has some great insights for you, I think, and she has been in your shoes and hopefully can give you some encouragement and guidance on as to where to go from there. And then just so you know, our next meeting will be in 2 weeks on the 27th, and we're not going to have a set agenda for that. We're really hoping that you'll take the information that we provide. So it looks like I'm like having internet issues, of course. Hello from the broadband office. So for the updates, the main one that we wanted to get y'all going with is if you have not heard and you have not taken our digital skills and access survey, it's really important that you do that now. We have until the end of the month to collect as many responses as possible to our survey. We have about 650 responses so far, and we'd really like to get to 2,000. which is a challenge. So please scan the QR code, go to our social media websites. We have a Facebook, we have a LinkedIn, we have an Instagram, we have a Twitter, we have all of the things. Share our post about our survey, like our pages, and help us get the word out within your community so we can get responses from all four corners of the state plus the central part. It takes about 15 minutes to complete the survey, so don't get discouraged. It's not a quick one, but the information that we're collecting is really important to our digital skills and opportunity plan. And like I said, we've got until the end of the month to get as many responses as possible for that. Secondly, one of the other things as part of our digital skills plan is that we're trying to collect data on existing digital literacy programs in the state. So if you know of a school district or a library or even like a church group or anyone who is teaching digital skills within your community, I need to know about those. So if you don't mind, collect a name, a contact, when they meet, what their skills program is about. If you can get me that information, we're building a log of that basically for our plan, because we have to report back and say that these are the digital skills programs already in existence in Arkansas. And then that gives us a starting point to build upon with these funds that we're going to receive as part of the BEAD program. So again, if you don't have my contact information, I'll put it in the chat, but that's a new ask for our broadband committees to be collecting this digital skills program information. Your library is probably going to be the best starting point for you because I'm sure they're doing something. And then the second place I would go would be your school district. So if you don't mind, see what you can find out for me in your community, and please help and save me 75 phone calls or more, and provide that information back to me. We have later in August to collect that. I mean, that plan's not due until October, really. So we're just now starting to put pencil to paper. And that's why we're starting to build this log. So if you have any thoughts on that, please, by all means, send me a note, reach out to me on social media, whichever works easiest for you. So now on to the meat and potatoes of today's meeting. But what we're going to talk about is the Broadband Toolkit, which is a PDF document that if you attended a meeting that we hosted, you should have a copy of. Your county judge was provided a copy of it. And then I can also send you it if you've never seen it till today. But get it open here. Let me share this with you. Here. Window toolkits. So this is the broadband toolkit that I'm talking about. And in this document, it has some basic information about, what is broadband for those that are new to everything. But then starting on page 13, there's a step-by-step guide on how to get your broadband committee organized and how to get started, who to recruit and all that kind of stuff. And we kind of want to talk a little bit more in depth with that so that, let me switch back over to my presentation so that you guys can have some guidance and a little bit more information. And, again, if you have questions, please feel free to put those in the chat as it relates to this committee and how we're going to put it together. So step one, of course, is who is your leader? We're calling them your digital navigator. And this is going to be my point person. So as we have meetings and newsletters and announcements, I do have a distribution list created with all of the county members that I receive, but we may have specific asks that we're just going to send to your digital navigator, if we know who it is, so that they can collect some data for us or direct us to the right person. I mean, there's going to be instances where we're just going to ask you for a contact person in your community. Maybe we need to know about a digital program, a digital literacy program at your library. Well, who's your librarian? How can I get a hold of them? So there's going to be simple asks like that as well. The second thing to do is to identify and recruit your committee members. We have a very lengthy list in that broadband toolkit, but ideally what we normally say is you would like to talk to your local elected officials, talk to your government administrators, your state representatives, your state senators may be interested in this, your economic development leaders, of course, because solid broadband means good is good for business. And so they're all about, attracting more businesses to your community. So definitely get your economic development leadership on board. Your schools and libraries, that's where digital skills learning begins probably in your county, and they're going to have a lot to do with it. Just keep in mind that these broadband committees aren't just infrastructure based. Infrastructure is really important to us and is like the keystone for us moving forward. But we kind of think that, just like our office is going to exist well beyond the infrastructure piece, hopefully, these broadband committees are going to play an impact in your community beyond that as it relates to digital skills training, different opportunities and economic growth. We have healthcare people, telehealth is a very big, important, thing. Well, who in your community, has an impact on telehealth? Is it your hospital? Is it, do you not even have a hospital in your county and you have to go to a clinic? Talk to those people because they're going to know, of their clients, who struggles and what their struggles are. Maybe they don't have, there's people, a lot of people in your community that don't even have computers and can't do telehealth. Those are the sorts of information that we're going to be talking to you about and hoping to collect more information on. We say passionate citizens, which I think a lot of you are. Those who don't have broadband access in their area, those are our biggest advocates in our community, and they definitely want to be a part of your broadband community or your broadband committee because they need access and they want to make sure that they're heard. How many people should you have on your committee? Well, that's going to be up to you. We have some committees that have like 2 or 3 people, and then we have a couple of overachievers who have 35, 40 people on their committee. But it's whatever works best, in your community. And how many volunteers can you get? If you have 40 people who are passionate about broadband, then absolutely, if y'all can manage a crowd that big, then have them be on your committee. But in our minds, we were thinking like 10 to 12 is probably a good number, just because when you get more and more people involved, it's hard to get anything accomplished. I know you've all experienced that yourselves. So, just whatever works best for you and your community. We have no say in how big your committee is, but we would really, we just need some people to work with. That's really my goal in all of this. Thirdly, you would need to establish your meeting schedule. I think a lot of our committees are meeting once a month or every 2 weeks or so. Right now, especially because we're just doing a little bit of data collection and getting organized still, once a month is fine. Probably in the fall, you might want to get together more often than that, and you just do whatever works best for your schedule. Again, if you have 40 people and 40 schedules you're trying to organize for a broadband committee meeting, you might have a little bit more difficulty than a group of like 6. So just establish a schedule, stick to it. Even if you don't think there is a topic to discuss, reach out to me and I can give you topics to discuss. There may be things that are coming up in the next few weeks that I haven't had a chance to announce yet, and you can get a head start on it. But we have a lot of projects and planning going on here. We're going to hit the ground running on July 24th after all of our contracts get approved. So we're going to have our heads down at this office working on the plan, and we're going to be pinging you for information quite often, I think, once that gets started. Number 4 there is to determine your potential resources. So you may have never thought about this, but there may be funding or grants available for your community for broadband, related projects. So maybe not necessarily infrastructure, because we'll handle that piece of it, but there's grants out there for digital skills programs. There's grants for device recycling and that kind of stuff. So you can have tablets and computers at the ready to help out households that may need that for when school starts in a couple of weeks. Couple months, maybe. But that's really important. So talk to your community leaders, your nonprofits, if you have a Salvation Army or a Goodwill, or even those types of people may have some input on this, and just asking them, what kind of resources are available to them and how can you help lean on their decision making to expand, broadband access and maybe even affordability within the community. Number 5 is establish relationships and evaluate your partnerships. And this is a pretty big task. And I know Benton and Washington counties, they have like a joint committee for the 2 counties. I sat in on their meeting last month, and they have they've done this work already. They've talked to all of the service providers. They've gone through the GIS maps and identified, who's been left out so far, where are those unserved households at to this day, what funding has already been allocated to their counties, and what's the timeline. I think they're working on how to get the project timeline from the service providers on when those projects will be complete, because there's more funding opportunities available for service providers than what we're going to be talking about with the BEAD program. So you'll hear more about the RDOF program, which is the FCCs. There's the Reconnect program, which is USDA. And they have a lot of money already flowing in the state for projects that, we may not be able to fund because of those. But it's going to be really important for your county committee to identify those service providers. And if you can't find somebody who can talk to you about that, you can reach out to us, and we will find you a contact person if we don't know them already. I see there's a question from Ricky, and I'm not sure if I can, let's see here, if I can unmute you. Just a second. Da, da, da. Ricky, can you unmute yourself? Maybe. If you can't, put your question in the chat and we'll get back to it. Oh, that's right. You don't have a mic. I knew that. So go ahead and put your question in the chat. And then the other part, just to continue with the number 5, the other part of the establishment of your relationships is going to be to talk to your schools, libraries, all kinds of organizations that are already doing work in your community, and find out what they're doing. Find out what their programs are, who enrolls, do they have a problem recruiting people to come to their courses? I think one of the statistics that Glenn likes to use is that when we did the survey back in 2021, 2022 with BDG, we learned that only 1 in 10 people, 1 in 10 Arkansans is willing to come to an in-person digital skills training course. So maybe your county is, a little bit more successful than that statewide statistic. And we'd love to hear about that kind of stuff. What programs exist, and what do they need to become more successful? And if they're already successful, what can we do to maybe expand that program beyond what they're doing at your community level to other parts in the state that are struggling in that area? Where to get your access to the GIS map. So if you have a GIS map, you would need to, I don't know, Ricky, I think you're in Nevada County, if I remember correctly. Let me find that out for you, because I want to say there's some licenses involved, and my license is going to be different than your license. So I will find that out for you, and I'll send you an email. I know I have your contact information. See, we're going to solve problems. The last 2 steps to getting started with your broadband committee, because I hope, by now you've got the wheels are turning, you have some, agendas set for your upcoming meetings. But, a big part of this is develop your communications plan. How do we get in touch with the people in your county? Do you have a big Facebook following? My friends in Union County have the Union County, I think it's ARC Broadband group. I can't remember the full name of it, but last I checked, there was like 700 people in it. I'm a member, but start a Facebook page, if that's the easiest way to get in touch with people in your county, that way you can run ideas past them. You can share your meetings with them. You can find out who doesn't have service. All of those kinds of things. Social media is a great tool for that, and people can do it on their phone, and they don't even need a computer, and they're probably already wasting their time on there anyway. Carroll County is going to talk about how they've done some mailers. There's been some people that have worked with their newspaper and printed newspaper ads and notices and that kind of stuff in their paper. But, we're going to need a way to, recruit people to answer the survey. That's our task right now. Offer to read our plans as they become available at the end of this month. Believe it or not, there's going to be a first one available. How do we get people to come and read those and share comments with us? And then, lastly, what can we do to increase your digital skills, in the community? Where are we lacking in this area? What's a challenge for you, citizen to using broadband, adopting broadband in your household. And then lastly, let's start, making a list of what the broadband priorities are in your county. And this is going to be, like I said, it's not really related to infrastructure. We're going to be planning for other things beyond, when we get every single house connected. So, what would broadband access do to change and improve the lives of your neighbors? I mean, just having access might be life-changing, and you can start a small business from home, or you can learn a new language. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities, as you'll know, whenever you have solid internet access at home. And, just keep in mind, that's kind of the question that when we talk about what the federal government calls as non-deployment activities, once everyone's connected, then what do we do? Well, we're planning for those things too up here. And we have, a little bit of leftover money we think that's going to be able to help us do that. So, we'd love to have input from all 75 counties on those extra things. If you sat in our presentation, Glenn talks about Wi-Fi and bike trails and, free Wi-Fi in downtown squares. It's those kinds of things. Think outside the box and, how can we use Wi-Fi in your community to make a difference and maybe improve people's lives beyond what they ever even imagined. So just some upcoming projects. I wanted to put these out there for you because if you maybe have already gone through all the checklist and now you're wondering, okay, now what do we do with our committee meeting? Because y'all are efficient people. First and foremost, I think I've said it 17 times. I'll probably say it 17 more times. Please distribute our digital skills survey. Share with your friends and ask your friends to share with their friends. And, like I said, we're trying to get to 2,000 responses. We're about a quarter of the way there. So whatever help you can provide us would be awesome. Again, gather information about digital skills programs that are already existing in your county. And that's just going to go into our log that we include in our digital skills plan that we submit to the federal government in November is when it's due. Respond to our public comment periods. Like I said, the first one of those is going to happen the last week of July, the first week of August, and that's going to be our 5-year plan. And all that is basically an executive summary that lays out how we're going to spend that $1 billion in BEAD money. Well, it's a broad overview. We have to work on the more detailed plan, and that one's the one that's due at the end of the year. And then the big project that you're going to have is going to be to participate in our MAP challenge process. We will do, I promise to you, a full hour or more if needed, meeting on how to submit challenges to the map, how to read the map, how to talk to your neighbors about reading the map. All of those things will come probably in October, I think is what if I'm doing the math right, but we expect that to be a very heavy lift for you. And we want to be able to support you in every way possible so that if you do have areas in your county that are not accurately reflected on a map, the FCC's map in particular, you'll have the opportunity to challenge that and possibly get those determinations on the map overturned. What does that mean to you? Well, if your house, for example, on the map says you have service from any provider and it's awesome service, but for a fact that is not the case, you will be able to submit a challenge to that map saying this is not correct. And we'll be able to process it here. There's going to be an opportunity, of course, for the service provider to respond. But if they do not, or if they're unable to prove you wrong, basically, then we can flip your address to being as underserved or even unserved because the map's inaccurate. So that's going to be a really, really important project for y'all. Like I said, it's going to happen like in the middle of football season, which is terrible because I'm a football person. But we'll be doing lots of trainings before that. We'll have documentation and writing so you can go through it. I don't want to scare you right now, but I just assure you, if you think your broadband committee has run out of things to do, there's a big project headed your way. So is there any questions so far? And then I would like to turn this over to Sandy. Sandy, are you here? Can you raise your hand? Oh,
I think I've got
yay, I did it right. I was so worried that I wouldn't be able to like get you in there. So everyone, this is Sandy Martin. She's in Eureka Springs, right?
right. Hello, everybody.
And
Thanks for inviting us to do this. And we hope we can share some information that will be valuable for everybody. Let me see if I can advance this. The way we started our committee was with and through the 4 mayors of all 4 cities within the county. We have had a county collaboration before, and it's been very successful with doing it this way for municipal solar and a trade school. So we thought this model would be the best way to continue. We've had 4 meetings so far. Our first meeting was to review the toolkit and to review the information that Glenn and Lori shared with us as a county before, identify who else needs to be at the table, because we knew we were going to have to expand the committee in a broad base, and identify some target sectors that we wanted to include. We felt pretty strongly about keeping our committee around 12 or 14 people as a core group, and then inviting other target sectors or target industries into the meeting to really listen to what they have to say and what their challenges are, their input and their ideas. Our second meeting, education was the target, and we expanded our committee to include libraries, churches, ISP provider, and we also reviewed research that we thought we needed to do initially, coverage maps, and we determined that we probably needed to do a survey, develop a survey, particularly to try to ascertain who is underserved. And then the third meeting, we finalized our survey, developed a marketing campaign, created a website, and also had a focus on healthcare that we met on that meeting. Our committee representation includes these groups. We tried to be pretty broad with everything. We know, like in the discussion of the survey and the discussion of the website and our marketing plan, obviously social media, website, that's all great. That's all a necessary part of it, but that's not really going to get us to the people that we need to reach the most. So we wanted to make sure we had a deep representation of people on the committee that could reach out to different groups of people, and that we could do a broad distribution of the survey and get it out where we needed it. This is a sample of our survey that we did. We translated it into Spanish. We have one school district that actually speaks 10 languages. Luckily, they have translators there that will help in that. We printed about 10,000 and put it on the website as a SurveyMonkey, as well as a PDF fillable online. We distributed the postcards with mailers. Also, they could be stuffers. We did public address and forums. The key distribution outlets that we used were through city halls, libraries, county assessor's office, churches. In fact, we had one of our members meet with our ministerial alliance countywide, and they are aggressively helping us with that. Civic organizations and food banks, we think those are very important. We have a program called Answering the Call that just yesterday delivered over 350 meals out to people in need, so they distributed the cards for us. Obviously, friend to friend, neighbor to neighbor, and through medical facilities. So that's what we did with that. Our public awareness campaign includes press releases. We have a strong partner with the Carroll Madison Library System. We decided we needed a human point of contact, not just a virtual point of contact. The library system stepped up to be that point of contact, which has been a godsend because they've got translators and they also teach digital skills so they can help people fill out the survey for us. Thank you. I see a heart. Yeah, yay on library system. That may have been April. So that's been real important. And of course, the website. And that's it. That's a quick run through of what we've done as a committee so far. I hope that gives some inspiration to somebody if they need it.
Hey, Sandy, there's a question in the chat from Stephen Baird, and he says the cities obviously would have better coverage than unincorporated areas. So how are you getting the unincorporated communities to participate?
That's through nonprofits. That's through our reach out by the mayors, the economic development directors. The publicity in the press that we're doing has also solicited some inquiries on it. So, and we still need to make some intentional outreach to them to get, particularly on the far west side around the lake area. We need to be intentional about that. But the other areas that are unincorporated all around the 4 cities are pretty well engaged with something in that city, the closest city with them.
Trevor from Saline County would like to know, where did you get your funding for the survey printing and distribution? Which I know the answer to this, and that's why I kind of laughed, but
It was donated by one of our committee members.
So donations. And that's why it's important to really, get, as many people as possible involved in your broadband committee, because, these nonprofits that are, doing all the outreach already, they may even have like a little advertising budget that they can help you with. I know our work has been done with Heartland Forward to this point. I hate to tell you, but the broadband office has no marketing budget. So, when we have, flyers and mailers and all that kind of stuff, we're leaning on, our partners to help us with that. And that might be, especially those of us who are also working in government, community government, that might be an option for you, is to find a nonprofit or some other administrative kind of partner that you can, borrow their printer or, their Office Depot card or something, and help you get some flyers printed. But thank you so much, Sandy. I mean, we always give Carroll County a shout out all the time because we know the work that y'all are doing up there is great. And, if anyone has any questions for Sandy, now's a good time to ask. And then otherwise, we will move on.
Thank you, Lori. We appreciate the shout out.
Thank you, Sandy. We need to come see you soon. So hopefully we can get out of the office before winter. So that really concludes our program for the day. See, I like to keep these like under an hour so we can all get on with our days, because I know everyone's busy, especially on a Thursday in the summer. But, again, here's our homework list for the week. We're trying to get to 2,000 responses. So I told you I was going to say it like 70 times. So digital skills and opportunity survey, please. I can email you a press kit with the document, or with the survey, with social media graphics, with QR codes, whatever works for you. I can just send me an email, Lori Ringler, or lori.ringler@arkansas.gov. Help us get to 2,000 responses. You can like our social media pages. Like I said, we're just starting in that, so we've got not very many followers, but you're more than welcome to share our post and like our page, and help get the word out that way. Again, we brought this up in the last meeting, but if broadband's a new area for you, please sign up for the Broadband Basics email course through our friends at Pew Charitable Trust. I'm signed up for it, even though this is my background, but it really does have good, solid, valid information. You'll learn something from it. We've actually hooked the Secretary of Commerce up with with that email list, so he can learn about it as well. Our next meeting is going to be office hours. Bring your questions. Hopefully, if you're having trouble getting your broadband committee going, now you have some kind of incentive. You can work with your county judge and or other community leaders if your judge is too busy for this. And let's get those committees going in other areas. William, I see your hand up. I don't know how to unmute you. So if you can't unmute yourself, can you please put your comment in the chat and I'll answer it. David, I will be posting this presentation on YouTube and probably on Monday. But yes, if you need it, if you don't mind, send me an email. But we'll put the whole video on YouTube, like I said, on Monday. We have a YouTube channel. See, we're all cool with it. Our broadband page is the Arkansas State Broadband Office. I guess I could flip to the next slide that has like the @ sign. It's at AR Connect ASBO, Arkansas State Broadband Office. Any elected official is allowed to submit a challenge, Tiffany. So we're still working on the solid, like the actual final rules of the challenge process, but the way that the NOFO is written, as long as it's submitted by a local or state government official, you can submit a challenge. I believe a JP was going to qualify as a local elected official, but I'll double check on that. Who did I miss? The only other thing I was going to tell you, if you noticed, my last slide has a little bit of a change from the last time and every other presentation we've ever given. We have a new email address that we'd love for people who have a concern about broadband. So we call it Broadband Concerns, but it's more of like, I don't have service. Who do I reach out? My project, I know there's a project in my area, you know, all of those kind of questions. We're trying to filter into its own email box. So please feel free to ask anyone you know that has a complaint about their broadband service to email broadbandconcerns@arkansas.gov. And that way we can find their email easier, because the broadband@arkansas.gov is getting very, very full of so many other things. So we don't want you to get lost. So please feel free to share that email address as well. Thank you, Misty. If y'all have any questions going forward, I'll hang out for about 10 minutes. And otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your summer. And we will see you again soon. Have a good one.